Burke Mountain Academy is a full-year private college preparatory school in the northeastern United States, located in East Burke, Vermont. It educates and trains alpine ski racing athletes on the slopes of adjacent Burke Mountain ski area. Background and early years. Born in Vail, Colorado, Shiffrin is the second child of Eileen and Jeff Shiffrin, both originally from the northeastern United States and former ski racers. Shiffrin's father Jeff grew up in New Jersey and was an avid skier on weekends in Vermont with his family. As an undergraduate, he raced for Dartmouth College in New Hampshire. Her mother Eileen raced in high school in northwestern Massachusetts in the Berkshires, and her brother Taylor raced for the University of Denver. When Mikaela was 8 in 2003, the family moved to rural New Hampshire near Lyme, where her father, an anesthesiologist, worked at Dartmouth Hitchcock Medical Center. After 5 years, he took a new job in Denver. Her older brother Taylor was in high school at Burke Mountain Academy, a ski academy in northeastern Vermont, and stayed in the East. Shiffrin also attended middle school at Burke, but went with her parents to Colorado, before returning to Burke. From a young age Mikaela had strong results in major competitions. In March 2010, at age 14, she won both the slalom and GS at the Topolino Games in Italy, against skiers from 40 nations. The following winter, now meeting the FIS minimum age requirement of 15 years, she won a NorAm Cup Super Combined race in December 2010 at Panorama in British Columbia, only the 8th FIS-level race in which she had competed. Shiffrin followed it up with 3 podiums in her next 3 NorAm races, runner-up in a Super G, third in a GS, and victory in a slalom. Weeks later, she won a pair of NorAm slalom races held at Sunday River, Maine. A month later Shiffrin took the slalom bronze medal at the FIS Junior World Ski Championships held at Crans, Montana, Switzerland. In January 2015, Shiffrin named Croatian former ski racer Janica Kostelic as her idol while growing up. Ski racing career. Shiffrin made her World Cup debut on March 11, 2011, in a giant slalom at Pindlerv Mlyn in the Czech Republic. In early April, just a few weeks after her 16th birthday, she won the slalom title at the U.S. National Championships at Winter Park, Colorado, and became the youngest American ski racer to claim a national alpine crown. 2012 season. During the 2012 Alpine Skiing World Cup, Shiffrin took her first World Cup podium on December 29, 2011, at a slalom in Linz, Austria. She started 40th and lost her left shin guard halfway down, but finished in 12th place in the first run. Shiffrin, age 16, then posted the fastest time in the second run to secure third place. 2013 season. Shiffrin won her first World Cup race in December 2012 at age 17, in a night slalom in Sweden. She became the second youngest American to win an Alpine World Cup event, behind Judy Nagel. Shiffrin's second win came 2 weeks later at a night slalom at Zagreb, Croatia, and her third win 11 days later at another night slalom in Flachau, Austria. After winning the slalom at the World Cup finals in Lenzerheide, she secured the 2013 season title in the slalom discipline. Though she spent most of her last 2 years of high school in Europe on the World Cup circuit, she graduated on time from Burke Mountain Academy in June. 2014 season. Shiffrin opened the 2014 season in October 2013 in Soden, Austria, with a career best 6th in giant slalom, within a half-second of the podium. She won the next event, a slalom at Levi, Finland, improving on her podium finish the previous year for her 5th World Cup victory. At Beaver Creek, she was runner-up in the giant slalom, her first World Cup podium in that discipline. On January 5, Shiffrin secured first place in a 2-run slalom race in Bormio, Italy. She also won the World Cup slalom races in Flachau, and Lenzerheide, to secure a consecutive World Cup slalom title. Shiffrin ended the season as the reigning Olympic, World Cup, and World Champion in slalom. That year, she was named one of ESPN's Impact 25. 2015 season. Shiffrin opened the 2015 season in October 2014 in Sodden with her first World Cup win in giant slalom. She had some trouble with slalom at first and ended up outside the podium in the first 3 World Cup slalom races, but emerged victorious in the races at Kutai, Zagreb, Maribor, and Maribor. She ended up winning the Slalom World Cup title once again. Shiffrin also won the World Championship in slalom held in Beaver Creek next to her home city of Vail, Colorado, USA. 2016 season. In the first 2 slalom races of the 2016 season, both in Aspen, Shiffrin won by large margins, and in her first race, she achieved a new record margin for women's slalom, 3.07 seconds over the runner-up. On December 12, 2015, during the warm-up for the giant slalom in R, she fell and injured her knee. After 2 months away from racing, Shiffrin made a successful return in her first race back on February 15, 2016, where she took her 18th victory in Crans, Montana. In the 2016 season, she won all 5 slaloms she started. She missed the other 5 slaloms due to injuries, and chose not to compete in a parallel slalom in Stockholm. 2017 season. Shiffrin opened the 2017 season with a 2nd-place finish in giant slalom at Sodden in October 2016. This was followed by a victory in slalom at Levi on November 12. On November 26, 2016, she finished 5th in giant slalom at Killington in her first World Cup race in Vermont, but she returned the following day to a first-place finish in the slalom. On December 11, 2016, Shiffrin won her 11th straight World Cup win in the slalom in Sestriere, Italy. On December 27, Shiffrin won the giant slalom in Semmering, Austria, her 2nd career giant slalom win and her first solo giant slalom win. The next day, she repeated and won her 3rd career giant slalom and 25th World Cup career victory. Shiffrin subsequently won the final race held at Semmering, a slalom, on December 29, 2016, achieving her 26th World Cup victory and completing her sweep of races at the resort. This made her the first woman to take 3 wins in 3 consecutive days in technical disciplines since Vreni Schneider won 2 giant slaloms in Schwarzenberg and a slalom in Mellau in January 1989. However, she missed out on equaling the record of 8 consecutive slalom wins, jointly held by Schneider and Janica Kostelic, when she failed to finish first run of the Snow Queen Trophy race in Zagreb on January 3, her first DNF in slalom since a race in Semmering in 2012. On January 29 in Cortina d'Ampezzo, Italy, Shiffrin posted her best result in a speed event, finishing 4th in the Super G, only 0.03 seconds off the podium. She won her first parallel slalom on January 31 in Stockholm, Sweden. At the World Championships in St. Moritz in February, she won the gold medal in slalom and took the silver in giant slalom. The gold was her 3rd consecutive in slalom at the World Championships. She became the first woman to do this in the World Cup era, and the first since Germany's Kreiselkrantz in 1939. When the Worlds were held annually. On February 26, Shiffrin won her first Super Combined race at Crans, Montana. It was her 9th World Cup victory of the season, and extended her lead in the overall standings. She has more World Cup victories before the age of 22 than Ingemar Stenmark, the record holder for number of World Cup victories. In Squaw Valley, the first World Cup races there since 1969, she won the giant slalom on March 10 and the slalom the following day, taking her to 31 World Cup victories and 11 for the season. This secured her fourth Slalom World Cup. In Aspen, Colorado, the World Cup finals of the season took place. Shiffrin secured her first overall World Cup, but did not win the Giant Slalom World Cup that year. After the season, she received the Ski d'Or Award, given by the International Ski Journalist Association to the best alpine skier of the year. 2018 season. Shiffrin started the 2018 season with a fifth-place finish in giant slalom at Sodden. In early December she competed in downhill at Lake Louise, where she reached her first downhill podium, and the next day she won her first downhill race in her fourth ever start. Between December 19 and January 9, Shiffrin won 8 of the 9 races on the World Cup circuit. She made history winning the very first FIS parallel slalom with the win in Courchevel, France. Then she won the slalom in Lienz, Austria to finish her 2017 year. She started 2018 with the win in the city event in Oslo, Norway, and became the first woman ever with 2 wins in city event. 2 days later she won the slalom in Zagreb, Croatia. With wins in both the giant slalom and slalom at Kranjska Gora, Slovenia, Shiffrin clocked up her 39th and 40th World Cup wins at age 22. She then won the slalom in Flachau, Austria to equal Anne-Marie Moser-Prohl's record of 41 World Cup wins before 23rd birthday. She also became the first woman in history to win the first 5 World Cup races of a calendar year and the first one in 20 years to win 5 straight World Cup races. After a third place in downhill, things stopped going her way. The rest of January had 2 7th places and 3 races where she did not finish. At the 2018 Winter Olympics, in Pyeongchang, South Korea, after several days of weather postponements, which caused the first 3 and final 2 races to be held on consecutive days, Shiffrin won gold in giant slalom as well as silver in super combined. In the giant slalom she finished second after the first run behind Italian Manuela Moelg, but was able to secure the gold when Moelg made mistakes on the second run. Due to weather delays, the slalom was contested the day after the giant slalom. Shiffrin entered the heavy favorite as the reigning Olympic champion, 3-time consecutive world champion, reigning World Cup champion and the World Cup leader in the event. She finished the first run in 4th, and was unable to improve her ranking after the second run, missing the podium after winning every single major slalom title that she entered in her career beforehand. Although she had originally intended to run at least 4 races, she pulled out of the Super G due to it being held the day after slalom, believing that she would not be able to perform well if she did 3 races in as many days. The weather delays also caused the downhill and the super combined to be held on consecutive days, choosing to run only one of the 2. Believing she had her best chance at a medal in super combined, she pulled out of the downhill after running all 3 training runs, her best finish being 5th in the third and final training run. In the super combined, the final individual alpine event on the Olympic schedule, she finished 6th after downhill. However, she was far behind the leader, 1.98 seconds behind compatriot Lindsey Vonn. However, due to having the third fastest slalom run and many of the leaders of the first run having mistakes in the second, she was able to move up to the silver medal position behind Michelle Gisson of Switzerland. Her gold and silver medals coming out of the Olympics made her the most decorated American Olympian, the most decorated female alpine skier, and the second most decorated alpine skier overall, only behind Marcel Hirscher of Austria, who won 2 gold medals. Shiffrin secured her second consecutive World Cup overall title on March 9, 2018, with 5 races left in the season. At the World Cup finals in Sweden, she won the slalom by 1.58 seconds over Wendy Holdener of Switzerland, her 12th win of the season. This tied her for second with her teammate Lindsey Vonn for most World Cup wins in a single season by a woman, behind Swiss skier Vreni Schneider holding the record of 14. 2019 season. On December 2, 2018, she won a Super G race in Lake Louise, becoming the only alpine skier ever male or female to win all 6 currently contested alpine skiing disciplines. These include slalom, giant slalom, downhill, Super G, combined, and the most recently added, parallel slalom. Tina Maze and Lindsey Vonn never won a parallel slalom race since its introduction into World Cup competition. With her first Super G World Cup win at Lake Louise, Shiffrin became the 7th woman to win in the 5 more traditional disciplines. She joined Lindsey Vonn, Tina Maze, Janica Kostelic, Anja Parson, Pernilla Wiberg, and Petra Kronberger. On December 8, 2018, she won her second Super G at St. Moritz, Switzerland for her first back-to-back speed wins. The next day, December 9, she won her 4th parallel slalom with a dramatic win over her main slalom rival, the Slovakian Petra Vihova. This marked her 5th win out of 9 season races to start the 2018-2019 season. On December 22, 2018, she won the slalom in Courchevel, France, and became the youngest skier ever female or male to win 50 World Cup ski races, at the age of 23 years and 9 months. With that race she also equaled the record of the Austrian Marlies Schild for the most wins in women's slalom 35, and put herself in joint 7th place in all-time World Cup victories with Alberto Tomba of Italy. 1 week later, she took another World Cup slalom win in Semmering, Austria, becoming the first alpine skier to take 15 World Cup wins in a single calendar year, moving ahead of Marcel Hirscher, who had taken 14 wins in 2018. Both had broken the old record of 13 wins which had been set by Ingemar Stenmark in 1979. The race was also her 36th World Cup slalom win, breaking Schild's record. Shiffrin subsequently described Schild as my biggest idol beside Bode Miller. At the start of February 2019, shortly before the 2019 Alpine World Ski Championships, Shiffrin moved into 3rd place on the list female skiers with the most World Cup race wins at a meeting in Maribor, tying with Vihova for the win in a giant slalom to put her equal with Vreni Schneider on 55 wins before winning a slalom the following day to overtake the Swiss skier. At the World Championships, Shiffrin won the gold medal in the Super G before taking a bronze in the giant slalom in windy, changeable conditions, finishing behind Vihova and Victoria Rebensberg. She went on to secure a second gold in the slalom, becoming the first alpine skier to win 4 consecutive world championships in the same discipline, despite suffering from a lung infection on the day of the race. Following the Worlds, in March 2019 Shiffrin became the first alpine skier to take 15 World Cup wins in a season when she took victory in a slalom in Pindlerv Mlyn, breaking the record she had previously held jointly with Vreni Schneider. At the World Cup finals in Sadu, Shiffrin started her campaign by clinching the Super G Crystal Globe, finishing 4th in the final race to take her 10th World Cup title and her first in a speed discipline, having already built an unassailable lead to secure the overall and slalom titles earlier in the season. She became the first skier to win World Cups in a technical and a speed event in the same season since Tina Maze 6 years earlier. She went on to win the slalom, her 16th win of the season and the 40th slalom win of her career, tying with Stenmark for the most World Cup slalom race wins. The following day she took her 17th win of the season and the 60th win of her career in the giant slalom to secure the GS Crystal Globe, becoming the first skier to win the overall, Super G, giant slalom and slalom World Cup titles in a single season. She also later won her 41st slalom race, making her the skier who has won the most World Cup slalom races. 2020 season. Shiffrin had inconsistent performances in the technical races in the first half of the 2020 season, winning 3 slalom races to start, but placing runner-up to Petra Vihova later in the season. She also experienced similar fluctuations in ranking in giant slalom. However, she competed more frequently in speed races and following the Bansko World Cup in January 2020, had recorded 6 victories for the season, 3 slaloms and 1 each in giant slalom, Super G and downhill, off pace with her performance in previous seasons, but still the most on the World Cup Tour and with a considerable lead in the overall standings. However, on February 2, 2020, her father unexpectedly died in an accident, causing her to take an indefinite break from the World Cup Tour and her chances of a 4th consecutive title. She did attend the final competition in Sweden, but the race was cancelled due to coronavirus. As a result, Petra Vihova took over the top spot of the slalom rankings following a World Cup in Slovenia, the first time Shiffrin wasn't leading slalom at that point in the season since 2016, and Federica Brignon reduced her lead in the overall from over 400 points to just over 100, and later took over the lead in the overall, which marked the end of Shiffrin's 3-year winning streak. 2021 season. Shiffrin missed the first race weekend of the season in Sodden due to a back issue, but returned to racing in the first of the 2 slalom races at Levi, where she placed second. Shiffrin did not manage to return to the same level of domination that she left the World Cup circuit on, but nonetheless placed in the top 6 in every race, winning the Courchevel Giant Slalom in December and the Flachau Night Slalom in January, and placing third in the slalom at Semmering in late December. However, at the 2021 World Championships in Cortina d'Ampezzo, Shiffrin emerged on top form, performing perhaps even better than expected and winning 4 medals, the most she has won in a single World Championship event. Her bronze medal run in the Super G was her first time competing in a speed event in over a year, as she had opted not to return to speed events in this season, due both to her wanting to ensure that the return to racing would not be too heavy as well as the COVID-19 pandemic keeping her apart from the speed team and training. This feat was made more impressive by the fact that she had only trained Super G for 4 days going into the competition. Her gold medal in the Alpine combined made her the most successful American alpine skier in the World Championships. With her 6th gold and 9th medal, she surpassed the record 5 WCH gold medals won by Ted Ligeti, as well as the record of 8 WCH medals in total held by Lindsey Von Dott in the giant slalom. Many of the favorites struggled, with World Cup leader Marta Bassino, 2-time world champion Tessa Worley and reigning world champion Petra Vihova struggling in both runs, while the host country favorite Federica Brignon failed to finish the first run. Shiffrin ultimately won the silver in the giant slalom after narrowly finishing in first after 1 run, only 0.02 ahead of teammate Nina O'Brien and 0.08 ahead of Lara Gutbirmai. Going into the second run with a narrow lead, a mistake at the top of the course caused her to miss out on the gold medal. Although she made up lost time at the bottom of the course, it wasn't enough, finishing only 0.02 seconds behind Gutbirmai. Austrian Katharina Liensberger moved up to third with only a 0.09 second deficit, making it the closest contested giant slalom in World Championship history. Shiffrin entered the final race of the championships, the slalom, with a record 4 consecutive World Championship titles to her name. However, she struggled in the first run, skiing into 4th with a 1.30 second deficit behind Liensberger, Vihova, and Wendy Holdener. She was able to overtake Holdener in the second run, but was beaten by Vihova and Liensberger, winning the bronze and losing the slalom title for the first time in her career. However, her bronze medal win still gave her an 11th World Championship medal, tied with Anja Parson for the most medals won since World War II, the most medals won by an athlete at the 2021 Championships, and extending her record as the most decorated American alpine skier in World Championship history. 2022 season. At the 2022 Winter Olympics, Shiffrin was favored to win gold in at least 3 of the 6 events she was planning to compete in. However, she uncharacteristically did not finish in the giant slalom and slalom, skiing out after the 5th gate in the first run of each race. She finished 9th in the Super G. In the remaining individual events, Shiffrin did not win a medal. She competed in the mixed team event for the first time on the last day of competition, finishing 4th as part of the U.S. team. Statistics. By winning her 2nd Olympic gold medal in the 2018 giant slalom, Shiffrin tied Ted Ligeti and Andrea Meade-Lawrence for the most Olympic gold medals ever won by an American Olympian in alpine skiing. She is one of only 5 Americans to ever win the World Cup overall title. In World Championships, she is the most decorated American alpine skier in history, having won most medals overall, a record 6 of them gold. She is also the first and only athlete, male or female, with wins in all 6 FIS Alpine Ski World Cup disciplines. She has won World Cup races in ladies slalom, parallel slalom, giant slalom, Super G, downhill, and alpine combined. She is the youngest skier, male or female, to win 50 World Cup races, doing so at the age of 23 years and 9 months. She has won 74 World Cup races, the second most all-time by a female alpine skier, including 47 WC slalom races, the most won by any alpine skier, male or female, in any discipline. She is the only athlete, male or female, to have won 15 races in the same calendar year, winning the last slalom of the 2018 season in Semmering and surpassing Marcel Hirscher. In the 2019 season she became the first athlete, male or female, to win 17 World Cup races during a season, breaking the record of 14 wins that Vreni Schneider had held for 30 years. By winning the gold in the slalom at the 2019 World Championships, she became the first alpine skier to win the World Championship in the same discipline at 4 consecutive championships. World Cup results. Season titles. 12 titles. Season standings. Standings through March 17, 2022. Race victories. Updated through March 17, 2022. Podiums. 1 including both parallel slalom and parallel giant slalom. World Championship results. Shiffrin competed in her first World Championships in 2013 at Schladming, Austria, and finished 6th in the giant slalom at Plana. 2 days later in the slalom, she won the world title at age 17.